Well, my name's Nikita Thakrar. I was born in Slough, Berkshire, and my family are from here, originally from India. My father's an accountant and my mother's a nurse, so I come from quite an academic family, quite a professional family. Both my sisters are older than me and they both got master degrees. So when I first decided that I wanted to go into dancing instead of going to university, it was quite a shock for my family, but they did accept it and they supported me and they let me go off to India to do my training as opposed to going to university. When I came back from 6 months of training in India, I decided that that was definitely what I wanted to do and that I wanted to become a professional dancer. And so from then on I kept working towards it. I kept going back to India to further my training and started training from a classical Indian guru over here in Kathak dance. From performing, I got into teaching and I now run a dance academy and company which trains over 200 students, and I still regularly perform myself. My very first dance teacher was a teacher from over here. He's called Sudashandir. I first learned Kathak with him. I also did a little bit of Bollywood, but I mainly focused on Kathak. That's mainly been my training. I then went off to India, like I said, and I learnt with Sheila Mehta over there, and I've been learning with her ever since. Since then, I've also been learning with Guru Pratap Pawar in Osterley, in London, and but I still go back to India regularly to train with Sheila Mehta.
What was your first job as a dancer?
The first performance that I did as a dancer, it was quite funny actually, because I'd just come back from India that year, and like I said, I decided that I did want to go into it, but I had no idea of how I was going to do it or anything. I was only 18 at that time, so I was very, very young. A lot of my friends were going off to university and doing all those normal things, so it was difficult for me. It was a very difficult time. And just through some family friends, people had found out that I had been to India and I'd been training, and I got asked to dance at an event in Scotland. And they asked me for a group of dancers, and they wanted a half-an-hour performance, and I couldn't believe it. I mean, the event was only about a month away and I didn't think I'd be able to do it, but I did. I auditioned and I got loads of dancers together. I choreographed the piece, I put it all together, and we flew off to Scotland, and that was the first event that I did, and that was a really successful event and very memorable as well. We made a weekend of it and it was so much fun. And those dancers that had auditioned back then are still with me today, so it just goes to show our growth over the years.
What was your first job as a teacher?
My first job as a teacher, again, is funny because one of my very good friends, she came to me and she asked me to teach her daughter. Her daughter was only 4 at that time. And I was a bit shocked that she'd asked me because I'd known her for a few years before that, but I didn't think I would be capable of teaching someone so young because I hadn't had much teaching experience before. I'd done a few school workshops and things like that, but I'd never done anything on a one-to-one basis or in a big class. So she asked me to train her daughter. So I took her daughter under my wing and started training her on a one-to-one basis. Now, to train a 4-year-old one-to-one is very challenging, but I did it, and that girl's turned out very well now. She does lots of performances, and from there I started training other students and other kids and other age groups, so that's really developed.
What would you say, according to you, is Bollywood dancing?
To me, Bollywood dancing literally means fusion. A fusion of lots and lots of different dance styles. Sometimes I see Bollywood films today and I'm confused as to what the source is, where it's actually coming from. Bollywood has been through a lot of phases. It used to take inspiration from cabaret, and there was an era where it took it from Kathak as well, like the Mughal era. So they've taken inspiration from different forms, whereas these days, like I said, I get confused as to which forms they've taken the inspiration from, because just within one item, within one song, there's so many different styles, and it does become a bit of a mismatch, but people enjoy that these days. People like fusions, people like merging styles together, so that's fine. My style personally is very much based on classical Indian. As I'm trained in Kathak, I do focus on Kathak a lot. A lot of the the source of all of my dance is always taken from Kathak.
So, on a more technical aspect, how would you say you adapt your classical style to Bollywood? Could you give us a little bit about, say maybe rhythmically or movement-wise or gestures? If you talk a little bit about that.
Well, Kathak is fantastic because there's so many aspects to it. People get confused with this and they're not really sure what it is. But Kathak is based on storytelling. So the main thing is expressions and acting and abhinaya. But also technically, there's a lot of emphasis on rhythm, on footwork, and all the mudras, on the hand gestures. And there's so many different aspects to it that it's easy for one who is well trained in the form to be able to draw from that and to be able to take certain elements from that form and put it into Bollywood. In my Bollywood dance, you'll see a lot of mudras, a lot of these technical hand gestures that other people who are not classically trained wouldn't know, wouldn't understand, and wouldn't even be able to relate to. And we also use a lot of footwork, a lot of Thakrar in our Bollywood as well, a lot of spins, and it's amazing. Like when I do Bollywood, people always compliment me afterwards, and they always say that they can tell that I'm classically trained. I think that that does make a difference, and not only does it technically make a difference, but I think artistically it really does enhance the performance.